Hey guys, and welcome to my YouTube tutorial. Today we're going to be learning the 3x3. We'll show you some methods of reading the cube, some algorithms. Essentially today we'll be learning the beginner's method. So, diving into the cube. As you can see, I have a ton of puzzles here. Some good, some not so good. Got some mod puzzles here. As you can see, the shape shifts. And maybe some old ones. We got some old ones here too that don't necessarily turn the best anymore, but get the job done, right? Okay. Let's go ahead and dive in. I do have to apologize. I have fish, so the noise you're hearing in the background are my fish thriving. So let's go ahead and dive in. So the first thing we want to think about when looking at the Rubik's Cube is learning how to read the algorithms for it. Because if I can give you these tools, then who knows, you might be able to go ahead and throw together something like this. Like a fun little algorithm that makes a cube look cool, and you can kind of impress your friends with that. So when we're reading the cube, there's 6 sides, the cube. So we have our front, our back, our up, our down, our right, and our left. And how we read it, same principle. Got F, B, U, D, R, and L. And everything is in a clockwise motion, as in goes like a clock. Makes sense, right? So front, if we want to do a front move, an F move, we'd turn it clockwise. When reading it the other way, you might see F1. That means counterclockwise. So instead of moving it clockwise, you turn it the other way. And that can get kind of confusing. Sometimes you can look at the face and help. Like if you're looking at an algorithm and it says R and F prime, you can look at it clockwise. Okay, so that would be an R, and F prime would be counterclockwise. That's how you would read it. Alright, so I went ahead and I got the rest of the puzzle out of the video. I just want us to focus on this beautiful puzzle. So when we're looking at this puzzle, we're going to have different algorithms. Okay, so this will be half of one algorithm that I'm going to want you to execute. For better results, I would do it on a fully solved puzzle, but if you don't have one, you can always pay attention to the top. It's not a huge deal. You'll know if you do it right if you do it right a certain amount of times. Okay, so the algorithm is R, U2, R prime, U prime, R, U prime again, R prime. What that did is, you can see, mixed around the entire top layer. We're going to have to do that move 5 more times, so a total of 6 times to get it back to a fully solved puzzle. So R, U2, R prime, U prime, R, U prime again, and R prime. And if we watch 6 times, puzzle is fully solved again. So there's a reason I call that a half algorithm. It is an algorithm on its own, but there's going to be another algorithm that involves that and its inverse. So if we watch that again, R, U2, R prime, U prime, R, U prime, R prime, and then we do something similar, pretty much the same thing. I do it slightly different. My left hand's not as developed as my right hand with the puzzle, so I like to make it quicker. I do L prime, U2, L, U again, L prime, U, L. As you see, these two pieces from that entire algorithm have been flipped. So if you have a different kind of puzzle, I do not recommend this. Flipping them. Look at that, it's completely solved. Technically, you didn't really solve it, you kind of just flipped it. So we'll look at that algorithm again, more for the left side. So we have the right side down. By this point, you should know that right side very well. But to go over the left side one more time, L prime, U2, L, U, L prime, U, and L. I don't see much difference. Well, same thing. Happened again. And you just execute that algorithm one more time. Another time. And it's back to solve. So you need, if you're going to do that, you're going to have to do it in threes. Because the pieces are going to flip out, flip in, and then be solved again. So 3 times for that full algorithm will get you back to the solved state. And that's the hardest algorithm. So if you're looking at that and you're thinking, well, that's not too complicated, then you're a shoo-in. This is going to get a lot easier when I show you how to solve this puzzle. Alright, so we have another algorithm. And what this one's going to do is going to show you, it's going to flip 3 of these pieces around. Whatever one you have in the forward right corner of your cube, the other 3 are going to be moving around it. So if I did it here, if I executed it on this face, this won't change. Same with this. What the algorithm is, L prime, U, R, U prime, L, U, R prime, U prime. Now as you see what that did, like I said, switch these 3 corners. We'll go over that 2 more times, because once again, it takes 3 times to get this cube back into its pretty form. L prime, U, R, U prime, L, U, R prime, U prime. And then, watching that a little quicker, you can see fully solved 3 times. And last, but certainly not least, we have one that's a little different than the other ones because it does involve the front. So, to execute this algorithm, it's front, R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime. Now see, it's still messed with the top, and you can see that most of the cube has not been messed with, but all these algorithms are actually for the top. You really don't need algorithms for the first 2 layers. They're pretty intuitive. So look at that again. You got front, R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime. And if you see, just like the first half algorithm, it takes 6 times for it to get back to its solved state. How to read an algorithm, and the algorithms that we will be using to solve this puzzle, we might as well dive in to how the puzzle is solved. So the most common beginner method way would be to start the white cross. You can essentially do everything with whatever color you want, but I find it easier to explain it by the white cross because that's how most people start the puzzle. And once you get everything under your fingers, you know, a little added challenge is going from a blue side because maybe you can't spot the pieces as quickly. So getting into this, we need to get the white cross. And there's a couple different ways. It's very intuitive once you get into it. But I will show you kind of the two ways of looking at it. So you see we have the white and red, the white and blue, the white and orange, and the white and green. So we need to get those up here, and since these pieces, centers, never move, we will know that the white and green will have to go between the white and green center. So how do we go about that? Well, there's one way. As you can see, we can line it up here, and how that would work would be, we see that we have the white and green at this part. If you move it, it connects to the green, and then you can slide it right up into the white. So now you have the white and green. We need to do that for the other three pieces as well. So we'll look. We already see that the red and white is in the bottom, so we can move it to red and white. Now, another thing that I had not mentioned yet is that these centers will never move. I said that earlier, but to reiterate, you should also kind of recognize the colors. So, red, for most Rubik's Cubes, is opposite from orange. You can see this is a nicer cube as well. Red is opposite of orange, green opposite blue, yellow, and white. And that goes for pretty much anything. I mean, you can see this really old Rubik's Cube has that same color format at least. And so we just need to complete this cross. So this is what some people have. They'll say, well, I got it there. And yeah, but it's obviously it's flipped. So we'll do the same as the green. So you can see that there's the white and orange, and we need it here, but we need the orange connecting to that. So as you look, our cross is here. This does not have a piece in it. So what we can do is move that white and orange piece and then bring this side up, and as you look, it's connected now. We can bring that back up to the white cross. Now, this one's pretty easy. The blue can easily be connected because it was in the bottom and can slide right up to the white cross. But you may be thinking, what happens if we get it similar to how the other one was? So we have all the other pieces, if I didn't mess it up like that, we have all the other pieces, the green, the red, the orange, but I don't have an empty space to move it around just like we did the other color. Well, what you can do is you can move it, and this is the other way of thinking of it. If we move all of the other colors so that they're off, we can move that blue piece back up into where it completes the white cross and move the white cross back. So now they're all aligned. Okay. So now what we got to look at is getting these edge pieces in. And there are tons of ways to like look at the beginner's method. Once complete the white cross, I don't really like to have it at the top anymore. I like to keep the yellow cross because this is going to be where all the algorithms are done, everything. So you want to you kind of want to not move the cube as much as you can. As you're first learning out, there's no way to avoid it, but this will get you into a quicker and healthier way of looking into the cube. So we need to find these white pieces. White, blue, and orange. As you can see, white, blue, and orange. This piece is actually correct, but it's orientated improperly. So there are ways of getting it into this layer so we can put it back into that properly. There's no exact algorithms. I will show you how to move it around, but once you get the hang of it, you really won't think, you're not going to think that for this, because this is pretty intuitive. You're going to see it and you're going to want to place it. So to move this piece, you want to do an arm move, because it's on the right side, and do a U move. That puts a different piece in there. As we see, it's another white piece, so what I would do is I would do an extra U move, just because we don't want all the white pieces in properly. So as you can see, we now have a different piece in that area. So now we have the orange, blue, and white piece, and we need to put it here. So what should you do? Well, it's pretty easy. So if you put it above, you want to look at where the white face is. The white face is facing this way. It's facing the right. So you want to move the puzzle. So you can see the white piece, but it's on top of where it needs to be. And this is what you can do. You can do a U, L prime, U, and L. And see what that did is that moved it here. I did misspeak. It was a U prime. I don't remember if I said it correctly, but just to show again, what you would want to do is you'd want to do a U prime, L prime, U, and L. And see, placed it perfectly. So we're going to look, we're going to scout. We found 2 more white pieces. This one is perfect because, as you can see, it is the white, red, and blue. And we want it to be between the white, red, and blue. And this is actually the exact same thing we just did. U prime, L prime, U, L. Alright, great. And this, as you can see, also needs to go there. It's right above its piece that needs to go. And so what we would do is we'd kind of do the opposite way. We would go U, R, U prime, R prime. And that located it perfectly. And we have one last one. And I just want to show you, see, we could do this the same way we just did that one. But there are going to be circumstances where these white pieces aren't facing out. They're facing up. And we'll show you that one as well. So if we look at it, we got all the other ones done, but this one is facing up. And this is why I made it very clear that you want to have it over the part that does not have the white piece in it. For the fact being that we don't want to mess with these white pieces once we place them until the second row. So what we can do is we can do an arm move, and what that did was move it so this piece that was facing up is now facing out, and you can turn it, get it out of the way, and move the piece back. And now what did that do? That allowed us to do the move that we did earlier. U prime, L prime, U, L. And look at that. White side is completed. Alright, so you've now completed the white layer, the first layer, the beginning. Okay, and we're now going to start filling out these pieces. And if you look, they're the same as the pieces we had earlier. They have to go between white and blue. This has to go between white and orange. Same concept, orange and blue. There has to be an orange and blue piece here. So we're going to look around, and we see that the orange and blue is being occupied. Well, lucky for us, we need to get this piece there, and this will force that out of place, obviously. So looking at it, we can look at it from an algorithm or just reading the puzzle. I will say the moves out loud, but slowly you'll start to see how they fit into place and it'll work. There's another way of not looking at each individual piece. You can look at the top layer and look at which ones are yellow, because we know that the yellow ones can't go into the second layer. And as we're looking, all of these have yellow in it, and this one doesn't, which is even more perfect. So this is what you would have to do. You want to get whatever is in this layer, the third layer, pointing out, similar to the white pieces from earlier. You want to find that color and match it up. So obviously we wouldn't go with green, because the green doesn't match up there. It would have to go with red. And you would do something similar to this. You would say U, R, U prime, R prime. And what that did is, you see, that made this layer one thing. And yes, it displaced this white piece, but now this is connected. Where now you want to move the puzzle so it's in that corner, like what we did earlier with inserting them. And you would do as followed. U prime, L prime, U, and L. And as you can see, this chunk is now inserted. We don't have to worry about that. Well, as we're looking, we have 3 yellows. And perfectly. This one, the blue and orange piece, is where we need it. We look. Blue is on the right side. This is how we'll do it. U, R, U prime, R prime. Exact same move we did earlier. Turn the puzzle towards the blue. U prime, L prime, U, and L. As you see, fit right into place. Scout the cube. And this might be a problem that you see. We're looking at the top layer and we see yellow, 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 yellow. That means that these two pieces are swapped. Not a huge deal. I would say that you could do the same thing that we just did and get that piece out of there. The same way that we would have inserted a piece, we can insert a different piece, one of the yellow pieces, so we can get that up there. But I don't want to do that. I want to go the other way. I want to show you how to do it from the left side. So, say this was the red and blue piece. And the red was here. So, earlier we were doing it towards this direction. Now we want to do it towards this direction. So, how we would do that would be L prime, U, L, turn it. This is now connected. And then you can insert it. So U, R, U prime, R. And so now we've inserted a different piece that way. And what that did was open up the orange and green piece. So now we can do it again to the same side. So there was one move that I missed. You do want to do a U prime, moving it away from the color you need. U prime, L prime, U, and L. And see, that connected it the other way. That connected it to the other side. And so now you'll turn the puzzle towards the other color, the green, and just do U, R, U prime, and R prime. And we place that piece. So we have 1, 2, and 3 done, and we have 1 more done. Similar to the earlier circumstance, we're going to go ahead, I'm going to fill it in the wrong way. So you might get the second layer, and once again, this piece could be flopped. You could get there and have already inserted the other ones you're looking for, and it's just already flopped. No biggie. Once again, we'll just throw in one of these pieces. So if we wanted the white and, or the, my apologies, yellow and red, we would do U prime, L prime, U and L, turn the cube this way, and just do U, R, U prime, and R prime. And see, that inserted that yellow and red piece, and now we have the red and blue piece. We align it and just insert it. Now this is where the algorithms come into place, because as you can see, the third layer is what we're working with. We've already completed the first two layers. I would recommend, personally, going through, and before you get to this last step, because you've already been practicing these algorithms most likely, I would go ahead and just go through each step multiple times for this first part, because this is pretty easy once you get the hang of it, and you don't really have to think of a whole lot of algorithms once you see how the puzzle works. Now, the first step of solving this third layer is the yellow cross. And there are 3 ways that you'll see this. 4 ways. There are 4 different ways. You can see this little arrow. It doesn't matter about the other things. We're really looking about this little arrow. You can see the line, the cross itself, or the dot. The dot is the most basic, and we're going to look at, it's the same algorithm for all of them, as you could tell, if you could tell. It's the same algorithm. It's the way you have to orientate them to get them to the yellow cross. So, back to the move that we had earlier, we're going to look at the face move. This is the first algorithm, was the last one I talked about. If we're looking at it, it's F, R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime. And as you can see, if we're not looking at this little dot, we have the little arrow now. That is the second thing you can have. Now, we want the arrow to be facing that way. And execute the same algorithm. F, R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime. Gave us the line. We're not worried about those. We're just looking at the straight line. And now, this is a big part. You need to either move the puzzle itself so the line is going side to side, or just flick the cube. And then execute the same algorithm. And what that'll do is it'll give you the yellow cross. So we've already learned how to solve the yellow cross and the first 2 layers. And the second step for this would be getting all the other crosses. And so there will always be at least 2 right. So you'll either have 2 away from each other, 2 next to each other, or all 4. Those are the only 3 possibilities. So we're looking around, we're turning it, and we see that that's not right. And now we see that the blue and the orange are correct, which means that these 2 need to be flipped. And this is where the half algorithm comes in. So you want one of the wrong ones facing you and one facing to the right. And then you execute R, U2, R prime, U prime, R, U prime, and R. And if you do one more U prime, they're all correct. That extra U prime you don't want to worry about in the 2 algorithm, but that U prime will show you that they're all aligned. So say we get here, and we're looking at it, and only 2 of them are right, but they're across from each other. And if you move them, so say you can move them this way, now you'll see the blue and the green are right. Just do the same algorithm. R, U2, R prime, U prime, R, U prime, and R. And now, what did that do? Well, now, if we look at it, the green and the orange are right. But now these two are wrong. Well, that's fine. One forward, one to the right. And as you can see, now we have all of the crosses on the puzzle solved. Well, now that we have all of the crosses solved, now we really just need to worry about getting these moved around in the right places. And so the step would be to look around, and there are three possibilities. You'll get to this step, and all of these will be where they need to be. They're just orientated wrong. I've had it where I've gotten to here and it's been completely solved. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. Most of the time, you're not going to get lucky. If all four of them are not in the right place, like say what we have now, none of them are in the right place, that's perfect as well. So there's either going to be one right, none right, or they're all right. And we have none of them right. So we're going to go and do one of the other algorithms we learned earlier. We're going to go ahead, and this doesn't matter where because they're all wrong. L prime, U, R, U prime, L, U, R prime, and then we'll go ahead and do another U prime. Get these back. So now we're looking. This one is wrong. This one is wrong. This one is wrong, but this one's right. And yeah, it's not flipped up how it needs to be to look right, but it's where it needs to be, and we can manipulate that into the right position. So we're going to go ahead and keep this to the right side and do that algorithm again. What it will do is it flips these three. So at some point within the next 1 to 2 executions of that algorithm, these three should be in the right place. So L prime, U, R, U prime, L, U, R prime, U prime. And as you can see, it actually ended up solving 2 of the pieces, and we're left with the last stage. Alright, so we're now down to this last stage. We have the big boy algorithm is what we're going to call it, the big boy algorithm. And there are 9 possibilities of where these can be mixed around. This is one of the easier ones, and in all reality, you just need to know how to orientate the cube to use the algorithm, because the algorithm will work on all 9 areas. And you can come back to this video and see which way you need to hold it, because if you hold it improperly and execute the algorithm, it's not going to mess the cube up. It just might take 2 more times of that algorithm to solve it, and you want to do it in the least amount of time that you have to as a beginner. So we're going to execute that algorithm. For these, they're facing this way. This is one of the possibilities that you can have. And you want these on the right side of the puzzle. The move will be R, U2, R prime, U prime, R, U prime, and R prime. And then, without touching anything else, you're going to do the same thing to the left side. So, L prime, U2, L, U again, L prime, U, and L. And so what that did was, this is the final way of that algorithm. They have them facing out. You're going to go ahead, do it one more time. R, U2, R prime, U prime, R, U prime, R prime. And then same thing to the other side. And you'll see that solves the Rubik's Cube. But like I said, there are 9 different possibilities. So, say we get to here, and then we also have 4 of them. They're all right, but as you can see, they're all facing out. Well, what you can do in this situation is you want the yellows facing out. You'll execute the first algorithm, and then you'll see that now these are the only ones facing out. So you can just turn the cube, execute the same algorithm. If I went over the algorithm 15 times towards this end, we'd be here all day. So we're looking at the same cube, but say we get something like this, where we have 2 and they're completely opposite of each other. That's fine. We'll go ahead. We want this one to be facing out. Execute that algorithm. And now we have our final product executed again. Well, there are going to be other situations where you're going to get here to the final layer and there's going to be 2 out and 2 out this way. Well, that's fine. I would go ahead and I would start with this one because this is going to be the harder one. This takes the algorithm twice because it's going to go in and then be complete. You'll turn it, so I'll show you. Execute the algorithm 1 time. It's done. Execute the algorithm a 2nd time. It's complete. And then do the algorithm on this side 1 time. It is complete. Now, there is one other scenario. You're going to get to the puzzle, and let's see if I can get it here. Perfect. You're going to get here, and there's going to be 3 of them. And there's 2 different possibilities of 3. You might have 3 where 1 faces out, or you might have the way we have it, where the 3 would be this one facing out. And so, what you want to do is you want to find the one that's not facing you. So, this one's facing you. So, we're going to go here. And this is where it could be a little tricky, is you're going to want to do the left part of the algorithm first. It'll make it a lot easier on you. So if you do the L, U2, my bad, that was an L prime. Now it's an L, U, L prime, U, and L. And then do the same thing for the right side. As you can see, now we got the 2 out. But not exactly solved yet. Now it's solved. So if you have any other questions, you can go ahead and drop a comment. I will put my Snap, some of my social to reach out. I don't think a whole lot of people are going to watch this, but if you do and have any other questions, maybe you get something that's a little weird that I didn't explain very well, you just get to a point and get stumped, feel free to message me. There will be a couple things at the end of the video that I will show for people that end up enjoying this and wanting different puzzles to play with. So you've just learned the 3x3 and you're thinking, I enjoy the puzzle, I've memorized the algorithms, but what's the point of just solving the same puzzle over and over again, hundreds, thousands of times? Well, it helps you solve other puzzles like 3x3 mods, which are what a lot of these are. This one is a 3x3 with no centers, which adds a parity. This one is a 3x3, but as you can see, this is actually how a 3x3 is. So these are the centers that never move, and these are the sides. And then this one is the same thing as a 3x3. It's just different shapes of the cubies instead of colors. So an added difficulty, once you solve this a few times, you'll actually start to pick up on how to solve it quicker. But that is it. So thank you guys. Go ahead and drop a comment if you guys have any suggestions on future videos, future tutorials, and thank you.